What's up, guys? Today I want to talk about the big news out of Minnesota. Jimmy Butler has requested a trade, according to Adrian Wojnarowski and Shams Charania. We're going to talk a little bit about why I think that happened and some rumors out there that are actually pretty interesting and where he will probably end up, or at least where he wants to end up. All right, so if you didn't see today, Shams Charania let out a ShamWow, not a Woj bomb, a ShamWow, and let us know that Jimmy Butler has requested a trade from Tibbs. They had their meeting, I think it was today, and in that meeting, he told Tibbs he wants the trade out of Minnesota. Then Woj jumps in like a ninja and says that this is probably, it's going to come down to three teams. It's going to be either the Knicks, the Nets, or the Clippers, which is really interesting. Those are not really three teams you typically hear of when you hear a player wanting to get traded out. For example, Kawhi Leonard, LA Lakers. Paul George, there were rumors forever about the Lakers. Looks like Jimmy Butler kind of wants to go to one of these other teams where maybe he can be a lead dog, get big money and things like that. But anyways, why does this happen? Well, we have heard a lot of things about strife in the Minnesota Timberwolves locker room. Not a lot of reasons why. A lot of it could have been people speculating because of Tibbs and his coaching style and all these things. There was a rumor that came out today, and this is YouTube, so I'm going to share it. This is grain of salt stuff, so this is Twitter and Reddit boards and things, but this is an interesting theory as to why maybe he might be requesting out, or why at least having problems in the locker room. So this comes from Clue24 Kevin, and it may be on Reddit as well, I'm not sure, but he writes, we've all read there's a lot more to the Cat Jimmy turmoil than is out there. That always made me curious. 2 days ago, the Wolves wished Jimmy a happy birthday on Instagram, and the top comment for a minute was something to the effect of, "Why don't you go celebrate with Cat's girlfriend some more?" The Wolves almost immediately deleted the comment. The only comment I saw they deleted despite a few negative posts. The same post went on to say the event happened sometime in May. I then looked at Kat's social media, and he hasn't posted about her in weeks. His ex-girlfriend has deleted all traces of Kat. I shouldn't speculate on other people's relationships, but I wonder about all the timing. Oh my goodness. If this is the reason, I mean, there's been a lot of cases in NBA history where girls have gotten in the way of things, and there's players that have done things with other players' girlfriends. It always ends bad. And so I don't know if this is true. It is interesting, but honestly, it would be a logical reason why there would be strife in the locker room, and maybe there was a need for a player to leave. And maybe this is orchestrated by Tibbs all along, that he knew this was going on, and so they kind of meet together literally to just figure out the plan of how they're going to make this happen, and then they do it. Or who knows? But that's pretty interesting. So anyways, guys, watch for that. That might be the reason. The other reason might be that Jimmy Butler just doesn't want to be on the Wolves anymore. They did not show out very well in the playoffs. It might be that Jimmy Butler doesn't want to play with Tibbs anymore, or with Cat. We know that they've had struggles and strife in the locker room there, and it might be just a Jimmy Butler problem. Who knows? Whatever it is, Jimmy Butler wants out. And so he mentions the three teams, the Knicks, Clippers, and the Nets. Actually, really interesting, the Nets. Of all the teams you'd think you'd hear, the Nets. Shout out to Nets fans. You might have Jimmy Butler on your team. Don't forget, and with all these things with the locker room strife and with Tibbs and all these things that have going on, it's important to remember that Jimmy Butler is a very, very good player, and at times gets mentioned in MVP talk. He is a legitimate bulldog on defense, will change your team defensively, and offensively, he's super efficient. He's a bucket getter. He is clutch. He'll get you buckets in the end of games. Honestly, and he actually made mention of this through Shams. I can't remember if it's Shams or Woj, but said that he would prefer the Clippers over everyone. And I actually feel like that's the best fit, at least for Jimmy Butler, is that they've got nice pieces that they can fit around him. It feels like the Clippers might be the team at least that could give the best package to Tibbs. Of all those three teams, the Clippers have 2 young draft picks. They have They have other nice pieces around them. So if Tibbs wants to just keep going with what he has, which is probably a good idea, he can get some nice players like, just the Beverleys and Lou Williams and players like that who can go to the Timberwolves. Pat Beverley's still on the Clippers. If he's not, let me know in the comments, but I'm pretty sure. But there's pieces on that team that can go to the Timberwolves and help them win, or they have young pieces that could go and maybe they can wait a few years. Although Cat is starting to really come into his prime, or at least will be soon, and you don't want to waste that. You want to get as many good players around Cat as you can. But also another reason that it might be a good fit for the Clippers is that they have max money cap room for 2 players. So Jimmy Butler could go to the Clippers and they would have room for another player. Now, if they want to use that on Tobias Harris, maybe they do, or maybe they want someone else. Maybe Kawhi wants to come to the Clippers after all. If they have max money cap room for Jimmy Butler and Kawhi, that right there is a legitimate, scary team to go at, because you've got 2 incredible wing defenders, and that becomes a really good team really quick. And if you have Pat Beverley, Jimmy Butler, and Kawhi, man, that's pretty good. The Knicks, we'll see if the Knicks want to go after Jimmy Butler. It may be a bidding war, but the Knicks, I don't think the Knicks should give any pieces to bring him over. The Knicks have already learned in the past that doesn't help. And you don't want to bring a malcontent onto your team who can cause problems with some of your young studs that still need to develop. Ntilikina, Porzingis, and all their young pieces. So you might not, the Knicks probably won't want to do that. The Nets, I wouldn't give up a pick if I'm the Nets, just because it's been like 12 years since the Nets have even made a pick in the draft. But they do have some nice young players that maybe Tibbs would be interested more than the Clippers' young players. Who knows? We'll see, but it looks like of all the teams that might be able to get him now if they want him, and I could see the Clippers being interested because that would take the Clippers over the top and maybe make them a playoff team. That seems probably the most interesting landing point. I don't know if it's going to be the landing point. But anyways, guys, what do you think? Were we wrong? Where do you think he's going to go? What do you think he's going to do? And if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel right here. Click the button. We're going to talk about this and other things. My name is James Hansen. I'm Hansen James on Twitter. I'll talk to you later.